I'm going to do a workshop basically on how interacting with various external, I was about to say external organs, external objects makes a difference to your practice. We're going to start off using exactly the same posture all of the time and look at how that changes the effect and the result, the feeling from the inside, but also what you can see that somebody can do from the outside. So let's come up and start off from standing. So you probably never thought about this before, but if we're standing on our feet and doing a forward bend, what does that do? Well, the floor blocks the movement of your feet. Okay, so we could do this and then do a forward bend, but that would just be weird. But the point of it is that your feet remain constant, right? And the back of your body can open out, can stretch. So the legs of your legs and your back muscles are free to move about as much as they need to. And you'll see that as I do this, as I do a forward bend, I can pay a lot of attention and I can try very hard to stay upright. But what tends to happen as we do a forward bend is this. The bottom goes back, right, in order to open up. But basically in this posture, as far as what normally happens in a forward bend, the feet are stuck and can't go anywhere. The legs are free to move as much as they want, and the back of the body is free to move. The back of the torso is free to move. So have a little play with this. This is your reference point, if you like. Just go down into a forward bend and then come back up and see if you can notice how much your bottom goes back. You come up and go back down again, and see if you can keep your hips directly over the ankles so that you'll notice that it begins to get off balance, and if you really, really were restricting it, you wouldn't make it all the way down. Does anybody think they can make it all the way down? If you restrict that? So here's the way that I prove to you, right, that you can't do that.
The wall.
Would you like to demonstrate?
I love to take this off myself.
Yeah, well, don't worry about it. You're not going to go into it so far. So stand with your bum against the wall, your heels against the wall. Yep. And just same thing as you just did. So actually, not heels touching the wall. So you're actually out from it, and your bottom against the wall. And let's see how far you get. Yeah, look at that. So you might, when you're standing up, you might think, oh, I can get to here.
Yeah.
No, you can't. Give it a go, Amanda, and show yourself. Oh, it's fascinating, isn't it? It's literally with your heels against the wall and your bottom against the wall. You're literally, what was that, like 30 degrees?
Yeah, it was about there.
Yeah, and then you go. Okay. Yeah. Why is that? It's because that's how much your bottom's used to going to counteract. Now it's different when we come down to the floor because we're not working against gravity at that point, so there's no need to balance as much. But it gives us an idea of what happens if we do that. Actually I've jumped around there and done that differently. So if we do a sitting forward bend, what's happening here? Well, here your feet are free, and you could escape through your feet if you need to. Your back of your body is free, but your legs and then that relationship of your bottom going back in relation to your ankles has changed. So we can try a little bit of forward bend. Yeah. You can see how different that is. So you might even notice if you went from a standing forward bend, which is what I had down here to do, go from a standing forward bend to a seated forward bend, you'll notice you can't go as far. Gravity's not helping you, and your legs are now locked and your bottom is locked from changing that relationship So your body has to do more. It can't spread the load. That's what this takes out, the ability to spread the load more. And then a lying forward bend, so see if you can try this. You might not even be able to do this sort of lying forward bend. Would be like this. It would be like Vibrata Caroni. But what am I talking about? Sorry, a lying forward bend would be like this. So now the feet, right? The feet are free, right? The legs are free, but the back is stuck in position. So this might even, it can be harder for some people. But you don't know, because it'll be harder for some people and it'll be easier for others. It depends where you're tight and what goes on. So give them that a little go.
Oh, you are nuts. Difficult.
Yeah.
Try to get your whole back on the floor is hard. And if you peel your tailbone off, it's like, right. It's like not comfortable.
So here's another one to explore, and one of you can come up and do it here at the same time. You can actually probably do it side by side, but try a seated forward bend with your feet pressed against. So what have we done here? We've restricted the feet and we've restricted the legs at the same time. So you can go into it in the same way. And again, you might find it's a very different experience, and it will give you a bit of an idea of how much you rely on that escape or the movement of the feet. I don't feel it as pronounced, but I can definitely feel it. So come away from the wall a couple of inches and try it again. I can even see, because I'm watching, it's only a matter of a few millimetres there, Sam. I don't know if you could feel that your feet actually do begin to flex forward as you do it. So it feels a little bit easier. So
it feels as though your bottom sort of pushes out further.
That's what it, that's where it expresses. So you're restricting here, and look at the way it's increasing the force down there. So that's the whole cat's cradle thing we were talking about yesterday. What was the next thing that I was going to suggest? Yeah. Seated forward bend with the bottom against the wall. So turn it around. So it looks like there is enough room in this room for 3 people to do this. We could maybe even fit another one in here. So push yourself right up against that, right? And then, so you think, oh, it's not really going to have that much of a difference, and it only is a tiny bit of a difference, but you can kind of feel there in the back. I feel a whole lot more strain going through my legs. If your bottom's still against the wall, push it up there, keep it there. And there's just, so these two are maybe a little bit more subtle, but there's a slight shift and a slight change. Lying forward bend, legs up against the wall. Restricts and supports the lower back legs and lower back, opens feet and allows sustained inversion. That's interesting. So be careful with the wallpaper. But here, if we tried, and how can you do it in that direction? So if you tried this, you're doing it against gravity anyway, so it's very, very different. I've never ever thought about this before, obviously I did. Read it the last time. But you're really engaging your abdominals against, maybe this is what we need for these body weight exercises.
It's way harder.
Yeah. But you see how But what's really interesting, you can come out if you want. You've just basically done exactly the same posture, like how many times is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different times, and it's got a completely different effect depending on what you're blocking out and what you're allowing to move quite freely. So it's quite a good experience to go through. Maybe it starts changing the way that you think about the human body. Let's grab her out. I should have grabbed bolster. Grab your bolster and we'll just continue doing the same posture. A seated forward bend. You can try this with the feet against the wall as well. But here we've got a bolster that we can maybe, so just maybe without the bolster, notice where it is that you can come into in the forward bend there, and then see how you can use the bolster to support you in that. So you can bring it might be right up against you like that, and then you release into it as far as you need to, or as far as you're capable of doing. Yeah? And you might find it can support you, so you would then maybe be able to stay there a little bit longer. You might want to try with a bit of gap between the legs. Again, you can try this. So you go down as far as you want to go, and then you can prop your forehead. These are particularly firm, these bolsters. So you can find all sorts of different ways to support yourself and to change the structure of your body. So without the bolster there, you're just kind of hanging in space, and really your body then has to engage to hold you there, which might be really tiring. If you wanted to stay there a very long way, then you can use the prop, and it's both increasing the comfort level, but it's also creating a different type of challenge, you know, of staying in that posture a little bit longer. And then you can just like gradually move the bolster a little bit further. Even within a few minutes, you'll find yourself beginning to sink deeper and deeper down into the bolster under the knees. So what happens when we take the bolster and we do this? We kind of know this one, but it's a very good way to help support people if they're beginning practitioners and they're not quite getting the thing about bending the knees and opening the back. So that can make it a whole lot more comfortable for us.
Yeah.
Now what happens if we slide it back? Put the bolster under our buttocks. You can have a little bend in the knees if you like. This is another thing that we quite often do. Usually do this with a block. You feel how different, again, the relationship is between one part of your body. Yeah? Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because you think the bend in the knees would be further. But what I understand about this is that by raising your sit bones up, they suddenly become mobile, and it's the tilt of the pelvis that becomes free. There's the word right there. Yep, there's a box of hankies right there. So yeah, you then have the ability to do this, which is part of what the forward bend is doing. Next one, we've done it at one end, we're going to do it at the other end. So now you're instead of raising your buttocks in relation to your heels, now you're raising your heels in relation to your buttocks. Bring a tiny little bend into the knees, but here you go. How does that feel?
Nice, actually.
Yeah. Now try it with your legs straight. Come back up, straighten your legs out. No, make sure you don't hyperextend in this position because it would be very possible. So a little bit of a softness to them. You see it raising that up. So you're already, it's kind of already throwing you backwards by having the heels up like that. So your pelvis is already engaged a few degrees, so it doesn't feel like you're going quite as far. Sandbag on back. What I'll do for that, yeah. Oh, yes, 5 kilos after it will do. Here we go. Okay, so if you want to go into a forward bend, I wrote down there, improvise. If you want to go into a forward bend, and I'll give you a tiny little bit of weight onto this and I'll add it in gradually, you can let me know how that goes. So if anything feels like it's straining, yeah, you can go first. So just coming into the forward bend. So this would be similar to if I had an adjustment and I was coming up and I was putting a certain amount of my weight in there, maybe 5 kilos doesn't really
It does.
that much. You feel a bit of difference?
Yes, you do
Yeah.
feel a difference, yeah.
Cool. So,
You wouldn't want much more of a difference, to be honest. I think
Yeah,
it's-
no, it kind of worries me. It is nice and light, which is really good.
which you didn't experience this. Come back up again and go down again, and I'll show you that adjustment that was. Is that okay? I adjust you, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
And the adjustment that they do in the Stanga is this. Can you see how much change you get? And that's like right away.
Mm-hmm.
And even if I don't put my whole weight,
Well, there you see it.
so that's, to me, and you can come out anytime, to me I would prefer the human touch to the sandbag.
Yeah,
If the human is going to be very careful with what
sure.
they're doing. A sandbag is just kind of like drop, there's no adjustment. So I've never seen sandbags used. I just mentioned them. Here's the other one. I'll show you this one. You can both have a little experience with the strap. So this is using. You can use a strap for somebody who's so tight that they can't even reach their feet. But I can reach my feet. But one of the things that it allows you to do, if you can reach your feet, that's slightly different, is to create opposition. So if I can reach my feet, I can do that anyway. I can pull with the arms and push with the toes, and it creates a totally different dynamic all the way up the back and straight into the arms there, that I can kind of pull myself down into the posture. If somebody can't reach those feet, then in some combination, then you could do this, and they can pull themselves even just a tiny little bit further. But I would always say to people, if they're going to do that, to do it with a bit of caution. You could use it with a straight loop like this, and double it up. And have it. So have a little try. You can each. There's only one strap because I don't really use them. We'll have them in the studio, but just go into the posture.
Just like that, and then
Yeah, you can just go in and just take a hold of it wherever you are, and push with your toes at the same time. So as if your toes are trying to resist, and you gently draw yourself a little bit further forward. You feel that difference?
yeah.
Yeah. And then you let go. Come back in. So the important thing in this, if you want to try the same, the important thing in this isn't, to think of it in terms of we are going deeper into the posture, and that is wonderful from any aesthetic purpose at all. You probably just best letting go of them.
It's a different feeling, and you don't really feel like you're going any further if you can reach your toes.
Yeah. If you try to push your toes away as you pull, as if you're resisting. It's like a tug of war that kind of goes on.
You can feel the tension between everything more, as opposed to just like.
Yeah. And it's actually quite a good thing in terms of stretch for the ear level of opposition in there. I think it gets closer to that PNF, what's it? Proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. We call it a particular type of stretching where you tense the opposite muscle while you stretch that one. And then you can do that in yoga anyway. You can tense the front muscles as you stretch the back muscles and vice versa. And that could be a try all together or combinations using blocks. So I could theoretically throw me your bolster, so I could have I can create a setup like this. I can create a setup, I don't know what that's going to do. I can create a setup like that. You're just always changing your body. I could do this with my feet against the wall. Use this bolster with my feet against the wall. I could do all sorts of things in combinations. And I guess maybe it would work out, it would work out how to, you might discover some really great miracle way of beginning to work with yourself. Of course, these are just bolsters and blocks and blankets that we've been playing about with. Blankets can be one of the best props to have around because you can take a blanket and you can roll it up into almost a bolster, or you can flatten it right out, and they're very variable, so you can have it, one fold thickness, 2, 3, 4, right up until it's nice and solid. And I think I wrote somewhere in this, do not underestimate the power of a rolled up hoodie. Okay? You want to, like, if I was to tell you the number of times that I've been out for a walk somewhere, I come into a park, I want to sit and meditate, and all I do is this, and I roll it up, and it just gives me enough height that I can sit on the grass, and I've just got a little bit of height there that I can sit with my knees on the floor, nice and steady, even with my knees. So it's something that's quite important to do, is to learn to improvise. Maybe you think slightly different about what you're doing. That's just one posture.
Yeah.
We were doing through all of these and all the different things. Now there are some postures that don't lend themselves to using all these different, how do you use a bolster in Urdhva in upward bow? That's really not that kind of thing. But there, what if you used a couple of blocks to raise the hands up higher than the feet? What if you used a couple of blocks to raise the feet up higher than the hands? You will get a different effect on where in the body that spreads the stress, or where it blocks. What if you do Urdhva against the wall? And there's a fine tradition of learning to do drop backs by starting off away from the wall. You reach back like that and walk your way down, and you walk your way back up. Okay, so that's another way that you can use the wall. Notice I didn't go too far down there. I used to be able to get down to the floor, and you can usually it's just strength that gets you back up, and that's the way of building it. I had actually at one point in my early 30s gotten to the point where with somebody standing in it and holding my back, I could drop down to the floor, and then I could, with a little bit of help, make it back up from the floor. But in this time that they do that, they do drop backs to the floor and then back up without any help. But that was many years ago, and a couple of knee operations ago. Little bit more to say there, and so first of all, how to use props. Must have students' permission, the same way as when we're adjusting. We're doing an adjustment, basically, it's just that we're using props, so it's not about the same kind of touchy-feeling thing. But get their express permission, just say to them, can I show you how to use a prop to make this easier for you? They're very simple and quick and easy to do, and keeps everybody clear on what the relationship is. So what you want to do when you're doing that is consider what part of the body is it that needs to move more, or what part of the body is it that needs to be supported, what part of the body is it that needs to be cushioned, what part of the body needs to be opened and have more space about it. If you notice that you think one part of the body needs any of these things, then you can maybe consider using a prop. And you have to think about how you're going to do that with whatever you have at hand, and how that's going to change the tensegrity structure. Raising them bottom up, throwing the weight forward, focusing it more on the back than it is in the hamstrings by bending the knees, that sort of thing. So the way that I kind of devise to run through this is think about what happens if you raise one of the parts that's low, or if you lower one of the parts that's higher up. If you support the parts that are hanging, like we did in the forward bend. If you open the parts that are feeling quite compressed. This is why in your own practice it'll be easier to go through this. If you add gentle weight or opposition to it, how would you do that? You know, how do you add opposition in a back bend? Well, you can use the wall, or you can even do it against the floor and upward. You know, there are ways when you're in upward bow, you can push into the hands more, and it will shift the weight towards the feet. You can push into the feet more, and it will shift the weight up the body in the other direction. If you add reach for the arms, which is what the belt sport does, and you know, also considering how to avoid pressure in a specific area. So effectively, if you don't want the knee coming into contact with the floor or the back of the knee or something, you have to put something on either side of that joint, or on either side of whatever area you don't want to be touching the ground. So the two bolsters isn't such a silly thing. If say, you know, I showed you that as a kind of silly example, you know, oh yeah, what would you get if you do this? But what if somebody had a cut in their calf muscle and they couldn't do forward bends because their calf muscle was against the ground? This is the perfect way to use procs in this part here that, you know, it's not going against the ground, and you're still getting a reasonable effect. Although in situations like that, you'd also have to question whether you should be doing that at all.
Yeah.
But, yeah, stretching the muscle from the inside might be as bad as pressing against the floor from the outside. And that's time to learn some pranayama and meditation techniques. Cool.